Right back there is a little cove, a little creek, a little ditch with a lot of lay down logs and brush. It's destination central for crappie as they seek a place to spawn in shallow water. The next couple of weeks is going to represent the best time to go out and catch some of America's favorite table fare fish, the white or the black crappie. On this week's show, we're going to go out on Lake Waco in Central Texas and give you all the information you need to catch some of your very own. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Sports South.
Boy, it is my favorite time of the year, springtime. Everybody's favorite when it comes to fishing. Why is that? It's because all those fish that have been way out there in deep water all winter long are now migrating by their instinctive pull of the warmer surface temperatures towards shallow water, headed for their spawn. And when they do that, they are much more accessible, much more aggressive, and much easier for you to catch. Hi everybody, welcome into today's show. And on an overcast day, we're going to go out and do some of my favorite kind of fishing. When I go fishing just for fun, when there's no television camera around, no competition, when I'm alone, I go crappie fishing, and that's what we're going to do. In the next half hour, I hope to give you some principles and information that will help you go out the next few weekends while those fish are shallow and catch a basket full of crappie for your dinner table. While I'm doing that, we're taking you around your local region, your favorite lakes, rivers, and bays for your weekly fishing report from our team of insider reporters. Hey, this is going to be a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere, settle in, and let's get it started right now at the FSN Studios with your weekend planner.
According to the Salunar Tables, fishing conditions this weekend are going to be outstanding. Saturday is expected to have some of the best action of the month. Sunday is also anticipated to have excellent game fish activity with the best action starting at 11:23 a.m. Sunrise will take place at 6:54 with sunset occurring at 7:59. And we'll have a new moon on Saturday. Stay with us. All of your fishing updates from around the region are on the way. And I'll return with Keith Combs on this week's Ask the Pro with a question about lure colors.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
There's one right here. Oh, he's around my motor for a second. Oh, there we go. There's a crappie. Come aboard, buddy. All right. Hey, everybody. We've made it out, and I've got one right there. And if I were keeping them, that would be the first keeper going in the live well, filleted for my dinner table right there, but I'm not keeping them today because I've got a bunch of crappie in the live well already. Let me get you set up. You know, I always tell you that the most important factor to any kind of fishing is always what? Just like real estate, location, location, location. So, let's talk about where the crappie are. They're transitioning out of that deep water. As I said at the beginning, they're going to be moving into bays, the mouths of creeks, and the mouths of rivers. What they like to do is find flat areas in anywhere from 6 to 10 feet of water, and they'll just sit there, warm up. As these days get warmer and warmer throughout the spring, their eggs will ripen. Then they'll move all the way back in these creeks. I think I got one hung up right there. They'll move all the way back in these creeks and they'll spawn right up against the bank, almost like a bass does. They'll make a nest, female lays the eggs, male comes in behind and fertilizes them. The beds they make are about the size of maybe a trash can lid, something in that range. But that's what the crappie are headed towards doing. Now, the south part of our region, the warmer it's been, they may already be spawning. Middle part of the region, headed that direction. Further north you go, the cooler the water is, the deeper the fish are still going to be. So you've got to get in these areas where they're headed towards spawning. Type of place we're sitting right now, the mouth of a creek, flats on both sides. You don't want a steep channel on both sides. You want to be up on the flats. You want to be 6 to 10 feet of water. Location, location, location. Let's get with Crispin Powley in Tennessee and Kentucky, your fishing reports for this week from there.
Being an avid outdoorsman and living in the South means a couple things. I need foul weather gear, but I don't need cold weather gear. The Fusion series by Stormer is the most incredibly advanced functional performance outerwear on the market. It is dry, it's breathable, and most of all, it's incredibly functional. Check out Stormer USA and check out the Fusion gear for the most southern-friendly rain gear on the market. Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. It's really good right now. The grass is getting green, the trees are budding, and the fish are biting. The most popular bite going on in the Tennessee and Kentucky region right now would have to be bass. The bass are really biting. They're either pre-spawn or even spawn at this point in time. The water's come up throughout most of the region, so the fish are up around the bank. Look for gravel, firm bottom banks with some cover to provide some shelter during the bedding area. Look on northern and western banks as they tend to warm up the fastest. But Kentucky Lake, Chickamauga, Dale Hollow, Percy Priest, Lake Cumberland, and Barron River in the Tennessee and Kentucky region are your best bets right now for numbers of good-sized fish. Crappie throughout the region is on fire. Crappie are full-blown spawn right now. Water 5 feet or less, depending on the fishery you're on and the water clarity. Look for stake beds, brush piles, and lay down trees on chunk rock and gravelly banks that are pretty close to deep water. One of the coolest things I've heard recently was on this full moon we had the past week or so. A lot of bluegill came up, which is a little early. That typically happens in May, but there's a lot of bluegill up right now. Guys catching them on redworms and crickets around where typical bluegill bedding areas are.
There's one right there. Got him. Got him on my long rod. Got him. Not a big one, but a good keeper crappie nonetheless. All right, we're catching a few today. That's just a good, 10 and a half, 11-inch crappie. Just a good solid eating fish. Of course, here in Texas, the crappie have to be 10 inches long and you can keep 25 per person per day. And that would just be a good solid eating fish. We're gonna let that fish go back. When these fish are in transition like this and they're not tight to brush, I wanna cover a lot of water. So what I've got here is I've got 2 rod holders set up. They'll each hold 4 rods, but I'm actually only using 2 rods in each one. I've got a 14-foot on the front and an 11-foot rod on the back. They've got bait cast reels on them, hold a lot of line. Now the first fish you saw me catch, I was doing something called long lining, which means I was actually letting a lot of line go back behind the boat, about 30 feet of line behind the boat, and I'm keeping steady speed about 1 mile an hour and keeping those jigs floating through the water. Now what I've done right now is I've actually caught a couple of fish right here on this little flat bank. I'll show it to you later. But I've stopped the boat and I've let my rods go straight down, and that's called spider rigging. I've slowed way down. I'm at 0.1, 0.2 miles an hour. I'm just barely easing along here. And those jigs are just floating about a foot off the bottom. And you've got 14 foot, 11, and then I've got 11 and 14 on the other side. So I'm covering a 28-foot path with 4 rods, 4 jigs down, 4 times the opportunity to get a bite. All right, it's time now for some more fishing and lake reports. Let's go to the Carolinas. Here's Inglis Glover.
Hey folks, Captain E here with your Carolinas report, this week brought to you by Marshall's Marine. Located in Lake City and Georgetown, South Carolina, we're your bass boat leader since 1969. For all your nitro and bass tracker needs and for family-friendly fun, visit our friends at www.marshallsmarine.com. And I'll tell you, we're starting to get a lot of sunlight during the day. The water temperature's warming up. Right now, the bass coming out of that full moon have really started to move up into that bedding area. We've got fish in pre-spawn, we've got fish in spawn, and soon we're gonna have them in the post-spawn. Over the next 3 to 4 weeks, you can look to target the fish in all 3 stages as the water temperatures warm in North and South Carolina. Get out on those sandy bottom areas where those bass are gonna be bedding to catch some of the biggest females of the year. A shaky head worm or a worm or lizard rig Carolina style works great right now to entice that reaction bite. Also, my good friend Greg Kerrigan, a loyal viewer of the show, has done some crappie fishing this week with his son. They had a great day on Lake Norman, caught a lot of fish in 30 foot of water, but its biggest fish came up in 5 foot of water, which leads me to believe those crappie are moving into that spawn mode up there as well. Also, the striped bass are moving up the Santee River into Wateree and to the Congaree right now, and will be making their way back down over the next couple weeks. Get out with some fresh shad or herring from Pax Landing to target those fish in the river as they make their way back to the Santee Lake system. Along the saltwater areas, we're starting to continually hear improvements on the flounder bites. Also, the redfish are getting out of that winter mode and they are biting. Get out with an artificial fluke right now, rigged on a jig head, and find those fish and entice them into a bite. Also, another great thing to do is to rig up a popping cork, float it along those areas to find those fish where you like to target redfish this time of the year. The offshore bite is just incredible. Guys are catching the big wahoo like normal this time of the year, and some big numbers of blackfin tuna. Find those fish, throw a cedar plug out. Cedar plugs work great this time of year to get a bite out of a blackfin tuna.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Lose, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
There's one. Boy, this is pulling hard. This is probably not a crappie right here. He's pulling too hard. Look at him bowing my ultralight. Yeah, it's pretty nice. White bass right there. Well, there's a bonus for you, everybody. Welcome back. We're actually crappie fishing today, but there is a spawning little female white bass right there. We'll let that fish go back, and I want to explain something to you. You know, people get the idea that crappie fishing is all about fishing real tight to brush and dabbling straight up and down in it, fishing brush piles, fishing trees, that kind of thing. I want to tell you something about the crappie this time of the year. They don't have to be on anything. They can be on a slick bank. I want to show you behind me here. I've caught several fish, some crappie and some white bass both, right along this smooth bank. The way you catch these fish, you just get inside the mouth of a creek, like we talked about, location. You find 6 or 8 feet of water on a flat off the creek channel. Then you sit out in the little bit deeper water, you throw up on the flat, and I love to fish this little ultralight rig. This is my little Wally Marshall Signature Series rod and reel combination. Let that little lead head Bobby Garland baby shad go to the bottom, and then you just kind of ease it back. You lift your rod tip, you take up the slack, lift your rod tip, take up the slack, and you're actually just swimming that bait through these flats. And again, these fish are in transition. Ultimately, they are going to get up in that brush and make a nest and lay eggs and all that kind of thing. But when they're on their way in and when they're on their way out, you can catch a lot of fish. You saw me talking earlier about these spider rigs, these rod holders that I've got where you can cover a lot of water. And then once you locate where some fish are, and we've caught several fish off this little slick flat right here, you can stop the boat, pick up your little ultralight, make several casts, and sometimes catch several in one spot once you find out what they're doing. But the key here is that you do not have to be up in brush, tight to brush, or around any kind of structure or cover. These fish will just get out and roam, and they're just swimming their way up toward these creeks where they're going to spawn. All right, let's get you some more fishing and lake reports from your local lakes, rivers, and bays.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the state of Mississippi, where fishing fun is year-round and where the Mississippi Gulf Coast offers some of the best inshore angling and offshore adventures anywhere in the world. So start your fishing adventure in the true South, Mississippi. Well, April is a great time to be in the coastal South. The mornings are cool and usually calm, and in the afternoons they get bright and sunny and the humidity is pretty low and the fishing can be great. But anglers that are not familiar with coastal fishing, tidewater fishing, you need to keep in mind that marine fish, saltwater fish, are highly mobile, and you need to target the species that are available at that particular time. And one of the first species to target right now are black drum. I was talking to Captain Brad Stewart on Tybee Island, Georgia, near Savannah, and he said the big black drum are there thick. He had an angler, David Chrisman from Savannah, catch an 80-pound black drum. They weighed the fish, had to keep it because a giant shark took a big bite out of that black drum. What you need to be doing is fishing quarter crab, blue crab, fish it on the bottom, use a heavy weight to get it down, and use heavy tackle, because these fish are huge. They're really not very good to eat. Get them in the boat quickly, take a picture or two, and let them go. Plenty of sheepshead are still available. They're not those big 10, 12 pound fish they were catching a little bit earlier, but there's lots of 4 to 6 pounders, and that has been great around the rocks, docks, and near shore jetties. Inshore fishing for spotted sea trout also has improved in Georgia. There's whiting around the inlets and on the near shore reefs. They're great eating. They're about trout size. Just a piece of dead shrimp on the bottom, and you can catch plenty of fish for dinner. In Mississippi and Alabama, redfish are in good supply. These are slot fish around oyster bars. You need hard-moving tides for the best fishing. There's a few flounder around. Trout also has been good in the lower bays and along the barrier islands. Well, that's it for the coastal South. Get out on the water, and when you go, take a youngster with you.
Thanks for joining us for the Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi Freshwater Fishing Report. This week's coverage is sponsored by Hiking Georgia, a guide to the state's greatest hiking adventures. The new 4th edition of the book is loaded with color maps and photographs that bring the 79 featured trails in the Peach State alive. The book is available online at www.jimmyjacobsoutdoors.com. We're now in mid-April and right in the middle of the crappie spawn in Mississippi. One of the best places to target these fish is Ross Barnett Reservoir near Jackson. This Pearl River impoundment covers 33,000 acres, can be a crappie hotspot. Look for the fish in about 5 feet of water right now, and the best spawning areas are going to have sandy bottom, and they're even better if they've got grass or lily pads growing on them. Now this kind of habitat is common in Pelahatchie Creek, which is just east of the dam. Also, check out the stump fields around the flooded lake beds near State Route 43 bridge in the upper end of the lake. Jig and grub or minnows under floats are the baits to be used, and it'll pay off. Over in Alabama, the crappie bite is also on Lake Martin. This 44,000 acre reservoir is on the Tallapoosa River just northeast of Montgomery. It's clear, deep, and infertile, so you got to find those man-made brush piles to locate the crappie. This month, you want to target the piles in 5 to 6 feet of water near the shore. Look for docks that have rod holders mounted on them, because there's likely to be brush underneath those. Another spawn you can target right now is for shad on Lake Oconee over in Georgia. Look for these bait fish dimpling the surface early in the day. The largemouth bass will be close by. Good areas to check out are midway up Rocky or Double Creeks on the lower east side of the impoundment. Lures to be throwing are spinner baits or small minnow-shaped crankbaits.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Paul wants to know, what lure colors work best in muddy water? For the answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler Keith Combs.
Really, my top 3 colors for muddy water, I'm always going to have something based in white, especially if I'm throwing a moving bait, spinner bait, crank bait, something like that. I'm always going to have a shad pattern, and I'm always going to have something in a crawfish pattern, like a red or brown, and then the old standby, black and blue.
Thank you, Keith. If you want some help from one of the pros, go to foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now it's time for someone to win a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Each and every week, one of you wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses in our Costa Catch of the Week contest. This week, our winner is Dennis Doolin of Piedmont, South Carolina. He's showing off a 7-pound hybrid striper he caught at Clark's Hill Reservoir in South Carolina, one of 20 caught that day. If you would like to have a chance to win a pair of Costa sunglasses, go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. On the right-hand side of that front page is the Costa Catch of the Week box. Click in that, follow the instructions, and you could be our next winner. You can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles. Just go back to that front page of our website, click on the Costa logo, and you can see all of them there, including the frame style I was wearing on this week's episode. It's called Luke. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, it's the right gear if you'd like to do some long lining and spider rigging like you saw us doing today. It's done all across the Southeast very effectively. And it really begins with a long crappie pole. This is the Lew's Wally Marshall Troll Tech series. Comes in several lengths. I start with a 14-footer and then work my way shorter in the rod holder like I described earlier. Now I've got the reel spooled up with the brand new Stren Crappie Mono. It's brand new fishing line on the market this year from Stren, specially made for crappie anglers. It's got the abrasion resistance, it's an extra small diameter. It comes in both a clear and a high-vis gold color so you can detect those strikes. It is the best crappie line that's ever been formulated up until this point. Stren Crappie Mono, look for it on your tackle store shelf. Now to do this long lining and spider rigging today, I was using a Bobby Garland Baby Shad Swimmer. It's got a little swim tail on it for great swimming action as you're pulling it through the water. Had it rigged up on a little Moglo jig head, also by Bobby Garland. And here's a very important tip. If you're going to use these long rods, you're going to need a net, and not just any net. This is a great Stowmaster net, but it's got a long handle where you can reach out on those 11 to 14 foot poles. Our partners here on the television show at Lew's Fishing are trying to make something really good out of something really bad that happened in Springfield, Missouri. A member of the Springfield Police Department, Aaron Pearson, was shot in the line of duty while he was investigating a burglary. He was shot by a bad guy. Now, he is currently recuperating and recovering, and it looks like he will be able to recover. But his friends at Lew's Fishing are trying to help out his family with the medical expenses that he's incurring during his rehab. They're giving away lots of great prizes in a raffle, including a brand new 2015 fully rigged boat. They're also giving away some great fishing trips, some rods, reels, tackle, all kinds of great gear. Now you can get all the information on our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Right on the front page, you'll see the little article there under latest news. You can watch my video that gives you some more details, and you can go straight to the website at officerpearson.com where you can buy raffle tickets. You'll be helping out a great family, a great cause for the Springfield Police Department, Officer Pearson, and you'll also have a chance to win some fantastic prizes. Hey, I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Lake Waco, Texas. We just used it as a test tube to show you how to catch some of these spring transition crappie that are headed up toward their spawning grounds right now. Some of these crappie in your neck of the woods may already be spawning right up against the bank. You can use these techniques anywhere across the southeast and southwest. Hey, don't forget to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on at our normal time of 6 p.m. on Thursday with the repeat airing Sunday morning at 8:30. And you can always see the latest episode of our show 24/7 right on the front page of our website. And very important, right under that, you can see all of our past episodes, lots of how-to and product videos as well on our video page. Be sure to follow us on the Twitter feed. Almost every week we're giving away some great gear. You can only win it if you're on Twitter following our feed, the address you see on your screen. Until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.